Good morning. I'm Lily from Singapore Water Association. Thank you for attending today's technical briefing call organized by Singapore Water Association and PUB Singapore National Water Agency. Today, we will start with a welcome address. We are glad to have Mr. Loh Yang Yu from Centralized Service Department Building Plan Unit to introduce PUB BIM e-Checker initiative. Then we will have a 10 minutes Q&A segment before we end the session. Before we proceed, I would like to touch on some housekeeping rules and disclaimer. To ensure better connectivity, please mute your microphone and turn off the camera. You may communicate with us after the event. Please share your questions in the chat where we will try to provide answers where possible in the Q&A segment. Do identify yourself so we can respond to any unanswered questions. We'll be recording this session and reserve the right to the video. Please complete a post-event survey, which upon return, we will forward the recording and presentation deck to all the respondents. All information shared is for general information only and does not contain or convey any legal advice or administrative assistance. Information shared today is true and accurate as of publication date. The organizer and the speakers reserve all right in the provided materials. Without further ado, may I invite Mr. Vinod Singh, Council Member of SWA, to give us the welcome address. Mr. Vinod, please.
Thank you, Lily. And Mr. Loh Yang Yu, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all today's technical briefing jointly organized by Singapore Water Association, SWA, and PUB's Singapore National Water Agency. Despite the pandemic challenges, SWA has been working very closely with PUB, coordinating in how we can support our member and water companies in Singapore through knowledge sharing, networking opportunities, and partnerships. We are pleased to have Mr. Loh Yang Yu this morning to brief us on the BIM e-Checker portal launched since April 2020. The PUB BIM e-Checker is a system developed to help industry users self-check their BIM models for compliance against PUB code of practice requirement before formal submission via Coordinate. We hope to create a new challenge collaboration between the key stakeholders, increase Singapore's water companies' competitiveness, add value and resilience to the water business while meeting PUB's requirements. I'll talk you a brief introduction on SWA. SWA started in 2004. It has been providing a platform to build effective networking, facilitate opportunity for collaboration, and foster the exchange of ideas and knowledge among member companies. Our mission is to develop a vibrant and dynamic Singapore water industry with the vision to be the regional hub for all water services and technologies. SWA also actively connect to global water network through setting up Singapore pavilions at overseas trade shows, overseas missions, and business seminars. Our current 260 members now comprise a diverse mix of both local and international organizations, commercial companies, research institutions, SMEs, and startups, which constitute the entire water value chain in Singapore and the region. COVID is significantly impacting our health, lifestyle, businesses, and the economy. SWA is closely working with our members to help mobilize, stabilize, and resume operations with our SG United updates, SG Assist, S-Watch initiatives, and regular updates. We also launched the SWA Marketplace Assist platform for our members to seek help from other fellow members or partners and facilitate continuing the businesses. More information can be found on the SWA website, or you can always connect the SWA office to find out more. SWA is also working with Singapore Business Federation, Enterprise Singapore's, Skill Future Singapore, and E2I, more in assisting local companies for some job retraining and business creation. Singapore has a great reputation as global innovation water hub And it was through the leadership from PUB and various supports from other government agencies in developing and adopting new technologies. Although the use of BIM, PUB BIM e-checker is not mandatory yet, but it is definitely a value-added tool for industry to run compliance check before making a submission to CoreNet. This will allow the users to make sure their design is compliant before formal submission to PUB via CoreNet. A compliant submission will mean less resubmissions and rework. There will be improved productivity for any project. By innovating and generating such new initiatives, we also enable ourselves to move up the value chain to be leaders, partners, and advisors to the businesses and communities in the water sector and water cluster. In closing, I look forward to hear the knowledge shared by PUB and hope that our members will take full advantage of these sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vinod. May we invite Mr. Loh to share?
So thanks, Lily, and thanks, Mr. Vinod, for the introduction. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to share on our BIM e-checker initiative through Singapore Water Association. So just like to do a quick sharing on what is this BIM e-checker about. Just a quick introduction. Yeah, so basically PUB developed an PUB BIM e-checker and was launched on April 15 this year. Basically, this is a portal that allows the industry QPs and professional engineers to run their designs for self-check against PUB rule compliance checking. So basically, what our compliance checking requirements is derived from our code of practice guidelines, which is available on our PUB website. So namely, this covers all requirements on sanitary and sewerage works, surface water drainage, and some of the water services requirements that is derived from Singapore Standard 636. So as of now, we have derived around 500 rules for checking. So basically, we tabulated a list of requirements that can be codified and actually change them into a sort of a logic checking, and which became the rules that's used for the BIM e-checker. So basically, I think what Mr. Vinod shared earlier, it's basically a tool to allow QPs to pre-check their BIM models freely before formal submission via CoreNet. So that is to say, right, as of this moment, this submission in BIM model is not mandatory yet. However, it's something that will come in the future. However, as PUB, we are trying to lead the industry to get them started into taking on BIM, and so that the industry professionals are better prepared in the future. So just to share, this is the circular that was announced on 15 April. Basically, it's just a quick introduction on our e-checker, and what we are trying to achieve is that through the pre-checks done with the submission models, that's when it's done properly, we anticipate zero resubmission and also a faster processing time from our end. So zero resubmission meaning on your first submission, we are hoping to get no written direction such that the model itself is already compliant when it's made on the first submission. Okay, so that is what we are trying to work towards. So just to share, this is the when we launched the e-checker portal initially in April, we were using a .com.sg the domain. So right now we actually changed it to a government domain. So you can see the one on the right. That's a buildingplanchecker.pub.gov.sg. Since we understand that there has been a lot of public concerns on internet security, that's why on our end we decided to move on this domain. So don't worry, I'll be sharing the URL at the end of the presentation. So if anyone's actually interested, we can reach out to me or we can circulate the materials. So as explained earlier, the BIM e-checker is a pre-check tool. Basically, it is not a submission approval tool. It's not a submission approval, meaning it doesn't work like CoreNet. It is a free to use tool that QPs can make use of before they make a submission through CoreNet. So if you can see the box on the left right here, this is on the QP's end, the qualified person's end. So what they do is normally they'll start on the project and they'll do their designs. Once they are done with the design, they can create an account on our portal and submit their design for rule checking. So if the system picks up any issues, any non-compliances, it will be raised, it will be flagged out within 24 hours. So that is to say the users don't have to make a submission and they can do this as much as they want until they are satisfied with their design. So this is iterative until they're satisfied. So subsequently, we move on to the next stage, which is the submission to CONET. I believe any professionals here who are familiar with development projects in Singapore would be familiar with CONET. That is the platform that is used for regulatory approval for all the agencies in Singapore. So with the BIM model submitted, on our end, PUB will also have access to the e-checker itself. So basically, we will check whether it's compliant or not. We will run the same rule check depending on the stage of submission. So there's two scenarios down here. So if it's basically the first scenario, if it's compliant, of course you'll get approval. However, if it's not compliant, it could be a case of us giving a written direction whereby the QP will have to rectify the submission, or it could be a case where it's a deviation, or also commonly known as waivers. Then if that's approved, then we also give the approval as well. Then that would conclude your submission process. So so like I shared earlier, the written direction will go back to the QP, and on their end, they have to follow the written direction and use the e-checker to verify, to actually see on their end, to kind of recheck the models after they updated the designs. So this is just a quick sharing on how you can actually get to our portal besides the resource on the link that I provided earlier. So if you come into the PUB website, it's actually under the compliance page. If you mouse over it, you'll get to this portion where it's we boxed out in red. So it's under the e-services. So at the e-services page, if you scroll down slightly, there is a direct link for the BIM e-checker. Okay, so that's basically what the portal looks like. Of course, I won't be just showing pictures. Today, I'll be doing a live demonstration. So hopefully, this will help our audience get a better understanding of our e-checker and to raise the enthusiasm about it, because I firmly believe a live demonstration would be more meaningful. So let me move on to the demonstration. I've not actually opened up the portal, so just give me a second while I switch over. Okay, so can you guys see my browser? Is that fine? Okay.
Yes.
Let's continue. So basically, this is what the portal looks like. As you can see on top here, that is the URL that I shared earlier, buildingplanchecker.pub.gov.sg. So this is the landing page. At the landing page, you can see a few resources. If you scroll down slightly, these are the resources that's available for the public to download and use. So what we have provided for the industry is the modeling guidelines. Just for information, the BIM models that's able to run the rule check right now, we have provision for Revit software and ArchiCAD. So we understand there are a lot of other software in the industry, Tekla, Bentley, for example. This support will come in a bit. We actually are working on the support for Bentley tools. So basically, what the users would have to do in this case is you have to convert it into IFC format, also known as Industry Foundation Class. So the reason why we chose IFC is because we understand it's an open BIM format. Reason is that open BIM format is not proprietary to any modeling tools, which is why we went in that direction and asked all submissions to be done in IFC format. So as long as the model in your native software is modeled according to our modeling guidelines, you convert it to IFC, it will be able to run the rule checks. So there are other supporting tools as well. We have a templates. We've even provided the standard object library. So what the standard object library does is that it actually contains all the embedded software that is required for the system to identify the objects in order to do the rule checks. Of course, you are not limited to, it's not a compulsory thing to use the standard object library. If you have your own designs within your own company, you are free to use them as well. You just need to make sure it's modeled to our modeling guide and input the correct information. So of course, there are other tools as well. So this is just a quick overview. So now just to move on, I'll be sharing on a demonstration on what is a rule checking like. So this is the registration page. You can just quickly register. There's no need for, we don't ask for very personal information, just a simple email and a verification process will do. So once that's registered, you have to access your email to do that verification. And on our end, we will have to verify it and to allow you to come in. So all this process is quite hassle-free. And you do take note it's free as well. So feel free to try it out. I believe it's something very exciting that anyone that's in the industry should try to make use of. Okay, so I'll just log into my account. So this is actually the landing page, the dashboard. So if you are logged in, you will see that actually any new users that log in, they would have this sample project. You can see the one in the center here, the semi-detached. That would be a sample project we provided for all new users. Anyone that has an account would be able to view this. This is so that it will help the users have a sense on what a submission, how to actually have a hands-on on how to use the portal. Okay, so we also have other resources. For example, on the top right hand here, there's actually self-help videos. This is to user guides. So these are actually videos that helps the user have a more interactive guide on how to use the portal. Can we start from the project creation, how to create an account, how to set up a project, and the next video would covers how to select rules for compliance checking, and even how to review the results. Okay, so moving back to the sample. So from the dashboard, I actually went in, and this is a project that the sample here. You can even create an own project as well. So this is where you upload the BIM models in IFC. So you can actually open this upload BIM model. Okay, don't worry. You can drag and drop and upload the BIM models here. So once it's uploaded, it will be sent to our backend to render. So they will run the processing. Then once that's done, you can actually view the models. The viewing is just a simple basic tool. It's just like your authoring tool, except the only difference is that you can't do any modification. It's purely for viewing and other measurement tools. Okay, so this is what it looks like. As you can see here, the video link is also available here, since the resource is tied to how you run the regulatory checks. So you can actually click here and go back. So now, yeah, so just a quick sharing on the tool. You can see that this is browser based. Basically, what we are trying to tell the user is that as long as you have a device that is internet accessible, you can come onto our portal and use it. The good thing about this is the hardware does not rest too much on your computer, because all these models are actually on cloud. Okay, so it's like basic viewing. You can actually rotate around, do the basic navigation, do X-ray views, to change the type of views, or you can even filter it. Maybe, for example, you just want to look at the sanitary sanitary, the piping systems, so you can actually isolate it. You can go into detail. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of the viewing functions. So now to the regulatory compliance checking. So I shared earlier that it's a self-check tool. So basically, we have listed all our rules, PUB rules, as according to the submission stages. So basically, this is in DC, DP, TOP, or CSC. DC is basically development control, if you're not familiar, and DP is detailed plan, and followed by TOP, CSC. The reason why we've grouped the detailed plan and the TOP, CSC is because actually the set of rules are actually the same. It's just that it's a different stage. One is a design and one is as built. So as you can see, these are subcategories. We've actually grouped them according to our code of practices. So you can either click that to select the entire set of DC rules. So you can see here there's actually like 86 rules. So these are like common rules such as like for sewerage, like point of connections, then point of connection. So these are all the DC rules. Then yeah, or if not, you can actually go into the individual rules and select one rules at a time. You can see that it's one rule. Okay, so of course, it's up to you how you want to use it. You can select a group of rules. You can actually just pick one rules or the relevant rules. So that's just that's what can be done. Alternatively, if you are familiar with the code of requirements, you can actually do a quick search here. Actually, like say 4.3.2, they will actually filter all the relevant rules and you can actually just quickly select them. So once that's done, you just click on the check now and you'll be sent to backend for checking. Okay, so moving on. So I'll quickly show just a sample of a result. So it's actually the same thing as what we've seen earlier, the viewing function. Just that there's an added feature on the right side that will be the results page. So the result page actually it will list out what is compliant, what is non-compliant, and actually and sometimes there could be warning messages. Maybe it could be a case where it doesn't detect the object that needs to be present to run the rule check. So the loading time varies. It depends on how big your model is. In this case, this is actually just maybe around 50 megabyte model, so it loads up fairly quickly. We don't have a actual size limit as of this moment. It actually can support maybe up to 1 or 2 gig, but that may be a bit slow because we understand there's some limitation with it being on the cloud. Okay, so just a quick sharing on the rule check. So this sample that we have on our portal, you can see here, there's actually around 15 rules that we've selected just specifically to showcase. So let me just run through a non-compliance scenario. So for example, this is a sanitary pipe location across a swimming pool tank. So basically, what this requirements is about is basically wet over dry. No sanitary pipes are allowed to overcross dry areas, or in this case, swimming pool. This is just to prevent any contamination. So basically, what the system, of course, in order for the system to work properly, the modeling guideline has to be adhered to. So example here, this if you can see the red box down here, that is actually the space which the modeler would have to identify as the swimming pool space. Then the object in question, that would be the sanitary pipe. So in this case, the one that I clicked on is the sanitary pipe. The system has detected that this sanitary pipe is within the space, and therefore it is non-compliant. So this is just a quick view. We have other tools on as well. We have a report. We have a BIM collaboration file that helps to overlay the non-compliance to help on the modeling tool. So this is to help the users quickly identify where are the problem areas. So these are like all the items that actually it's within this space. So this basically all these items must be clear of this space in order to be compliant. So that's just a quick sharing on the a sample of rule checking. Of course, there's 400 over rules we have on our system. So right now we are just trying to get the industry to try it and to actually feedback to us because we would like as much as possible to make use of actual existing or upcoming projects to verify and to help test the system. This I think on the industry end is beneficial is because you will familiarize yourself with BIM modeling, which in the future it will come as we and progress into a more smart future, because the submission in BIM will eventually come. Okay, so I'll move back to the slides. It's just the quick demonstration. So basically, I've shared earlier that you will need to convert the model into IFC 2x3. So right now, we are working on the support for IFC 4. It's a more later version of the IFC format, so it's upcoming for the system. So as of now, it only allows the system to read it in IFC 2x3. So in order for the system to pick up the objects for rule checking, there's quite a bit of work to be done. So you need to input the embed the IFC properties, IFC export as, and object type. So there, of course, this is not limited to that. There are a lot of many other information. For example, piping materials or certain declaration that you have to input inside the models so that the system is able to check. Of course, just now, if you might have noticed, there were two separate models and I loaded both of them. So what the system is able to do is that it can do federation. In other words, it's able to combine two different models as long as it's referenced properly. So yes, so the modeling requirements have to take reference to our modeling guide. So I'll just quickly flash through the modeling guide. Okay, so this is the modeling guide. So if you look at it, it's actually very comprehensive. It's 291 pages. Of course, not all of them are applicable to your project. It depends on what is your scope and what type of development you're doing. So these are all the items that's tied to PUB, all the sanitary, all the drainage, all the water supply items that needs to be identified in order for the system to do the checking. And there are also step-by-step guide on how to export it using the right setting to IFC so that they can be consumed by the system. So yeah, so what I shared earlier was the modeling guide. So that's one of the resources available on the portal. We have a modeling template, basically where it integrated some of the objects that's relevant for PUB checking, and it's also set up the schedule that is required for our processing officers to evaluate the submission when you made it through CONNET. The object library to help the users. And also, we had some sharing from the industry, the actual modelers themselves. So there's actually guides on how to use the IC classification so that it helps to the user to input the information using a more faster way. Okay, so now I'll move on to some of the frequently asked questions. So for I think people usually ask what is the response time of the system. So what we would tell the industry is actually that once you upload the model and you queue the rules to be checked, it should generate the results within 24 hours. That time may be faster or shorter depending on the number of rules you have selected and the complexity of the models, but it should come within 24 hours. Next, how does this BIM e-checker help me? Basically, it allows the users to make sure that design is compliant by allowing them to run the rule check as many times as they wish to before a formal submission through CONNECT. So this aims to improve productivity for the project, as the users do not need to wait for processing officers to get back to them in order to get a reply. So is using the BIM e-checker mandatory? No. It is, as of now, it's not. It is used as a free value-added tool for the industry to run compliance checking. Subsequently, the submission still has to be made through CONNECT. So how do I make a CONNECT submission after I've made a check using the e-checker? So basically, you will do it as per normal. You will submit through CONNECT, the ES Pro, the system, with the report attached and the relevant IFC files. So we understand that there might be some limitation on CONNECT platform in terms of the model size. But if that were the case, do drop us an email to our inquiry email. And if it's too large, you can provide us a link to download IFC, and we will provide the support needed to do the rule checking. Of course, since we are trying to encourage the industry to take on this initiative as much as possible, if we receive any actual submissions, actual ongoing project, do let us know. We will try to help with the submission, at least on PUB's end. So these are the frequently asked questions. I understand that it may not be all encompassing, but we just try to think of what the industry may be wondering. So I would like to open up this time for a quick Q&A session. If anyone would like to, please feel free to type it in the chat. Okay, so I've actually have a question. Okay, so there's some issues with the uploading on the IFC. I think that we have to investigate that. Do take note, the IFC format is actually in 2x3. You might need to check what is the format that you've actually submitted. Then of course that may not necessarily be the issue. So you can reach out to me. I will actually reach out to you separately to see what caused the problem. Okay, so I have a question from one of the participants. So asking how many projects have submitted via e-checker. So frankly speaking, as of now, we haven't received an ongoing project that's through the e-checker. However, we have had engaged some industry partners that they are willing to share their ongoing projects. So we are hoping that through these people, or at least with anyone that's interested to try it today, we are able to encourage the industry to use it. Okay, so yes, I believe there's a question on the Revit template being 2016 version. So the reason why we provided for 2016 is because it can be any older version can be upgraded. So we are trying to make sure that maybe some of the companies are using the older version. So there's no issue upgrading. However, if we provide a 2019 or 2020 version, it cannot be downgraded, and thus the other users are not able to use it. So I hope that answers the question. However, if there's any feedback on as to why there's a compelling reason why we maybe need a few different versions, do let me know. So we can actually see how we can explore that. So yeah, next question, implementation of e-checker. Is that to say PUB PALS is no longer required. Okay, that is something in the pipeline. Yes, protection, the protection of our water system, all this, that it's actually, it will eventually, once we are comfortable with it fully automating the checking, we anticipate it to be integrated fully for all PUB requirements. That includes the POWS as well. As of now, at this stage, since April until now, admittedly, we haven't had a full actual project to actually showcase it. So that is something that we are trying to push the industry. So once we have a sense on the system's reliability and the robustness, we will eventually move to all the submissions and all platform through BIM. So basically, your sanitary sewerage works, your drainage requirements, and even your water services, that will be covered under the e-checker. Okay, that's something in the pipeline as well. Indicative date of the implementation of the e-checker. Okay, that question, I think it's quite commonly asked. So the reason why we are saying that the e-checker, this e-checker is a self-check tool, is because us being the only agency that is actually fully embarked on taking on submission in BIM, we are not able to mandate the industry to make all submissions in BIM. Because we definitely have to align with some of our counterparts, for example, BCA, LTA, NEA, or MPARCS and all this. So that meant the implementation part, if it's talking about mandatory, is something that it has to be aligned. So if you have heard about it, that will be the Connect X initiative, which is to come within the next 2 to 3 years, because there needs that it would definitely take some time for the industry to transition into a full BIM submission for all development projects. So what we are doing now is actually an earlier taking on of the submissions in BIM, so that anyone that has used our system, at least for PUB, would be ready and not be flustered when actually it's actually mandated. So it's good to start early. I believe it's an exciting, because there's a lot of use case for BIM, not just for our regulatory approval. For the developer's point of view, it can be used for facilities management. It can be used for better project management, cost 4D, 5D, quantity surveying, all these things. BIM is a very useful tool. Of course, there are other uses like Internet of Things, where you can actually link your controls like air conditioning to your BIM, the digital twin, so you can actually remotely control them. That is an exciting use case for BIM. So I believe there's a huge market for that. So it would definitely help with the competitiveness of the company, that the early uptakers of BIM submissions. That is why we are trying to push this strongly to all users. Form B application. I would say yes, but we have to definitely see, because there could be some administrative process that is not entailed in may not be covered. So I wouldn't be able to say that yes, it will definitely be covered. But if it's a requirement for our product practice, it is likely to be covered in the e-checker. How do we validate the submitted model and drawings? Okay, so during my earlier sharing, I said that if you were to submit your models in BIM, once you are done with the pre-checks, you can make the submission through Connect and you attach your report. So how we validate is that on our end, when we receive the BIM models, the IFC, we will also run the same rule check for that submission stage and do a validation. So The validation should be the same if there are no issues. Then if there's any non-compliances, that is when we provide the written direction and to give our comments. And if there's a need for rectification, it will be sent back to the QP. If it's not, then ideally on the first submission, you can clear for approval. Okay, so I hope that answers some of your questions. I understand that there could be a lot more questions. If I would strongly encourage the people here, maybe those in the industry or even those not in the industry, if you have some exposure or would just like to try out, you don't need to be in the industry to try out. It's a free tool. Go ahead and create an account and try it out. We've provided those resources as much as possible. If there's some further clarifications that you might require, do feel free to let me know. Just give me a sec. So yeah, so try it out. I believe this is something that's very exciting. It's good to prepare your company. We've had some of our testers saying that, oh, actually, this is a very good preparation to step out of companies' BIM families. So they will actually update their libraries as well according to that, then to prepare themselves to take on BIM modeling in the future. So if you would like to find out more, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is quite simple. Just loyangyu@pub.gov.sg_. Okay. Or you can call me through my work phone. If not, just go ahead, go into the portal itself and create an account and play around. Even if you are not familiar with BIM modeling, we have the sample project down there for anyone to try. Okay, so that concludes my sharing of the BIM e-checker. We understand that everyone may be familiar. We are actually trying to organize some trainings for the industry. So if you think that your company or any of your staff may be interested or would like to test it out and you need more information, for example, for us to do some training, do let me know. Then I will arrange that separately to do the training. So yeah, so I hope this sharing session gave all our audiences here a better understanding of the e-checker, and also to encourage your uptake on this. That's something definitely within the next few years. So I hope all of you share the enthusiasm as myself, and we hope that we can get more feedback from the industry. Okay, thanks for your time.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Loh. We look forward you all to attend our upcoming webinar on 13 October, 22nd October, and 29 October. Thank you all for your participation. Please contact SWA Executive Office for any further queries.